My vision is that the beer market is going to go to where Germany, England, Belgium have been. Every neighborhood has to have its own little brew house, its own little spot. Think of the series Cheers out of the 80s. You come in and everybody knows your name. I mean, that's kind of what we want to broadcast.
Hello, y'all. So I'm here with Peter Schroder from Starkweather Brewing Company in Madison, Wisconsin, on Atwater Drive. Starkweather is in the old next door brewing company, if y'all are familiar with that building. But now it's Starkweather, and Starkweather is from for those who don't know, it is for me it's a community pub. It's a brewery also, but they have so many different. I mean, I don't know if there's a day that goes by that there's not a community event going on at Starkweather Brewing. So they are connected with the community, and they have some. I mean, it's hard to stand out here on the east side of Madison when you have the likes of Giant Jones, Working Draft, Lone Girl, Vintage, Young Blood. I mean, and then we have great places to drink like the Malt House and Starkweather Brewing and Barley Pop, and we have all these different. Madison's really blessed in the area of beer. So Starkweather Brewing is just another brewery in East Madison, but they do, they're definitely a different vibe, and it's definitely a different. You're definitely going to find some different tasting beers there. So I am happy to have not only the owner and the brewmaster and the founder of Starkweather Brewing, my personal friend, Peter Schroder. We'll get into that in a little bit. I'm here. What's up, Peter? Thank you for joining me and listening to me ramble on a little bit here at the top.
Good morning, Craig. Good to talk to you, as always.
Did I get anything wrong at the top before we even go further?
I think you said Atwater Drive, but we're on Atwood Avenue, but that's close enough. It starts with the A and the T.
Atwood Avenue. Thank you. Yep. In between Glass Nickel, y'all, and Monty's Blue Plate?
No, we're between Klasnickel and the Ohio. Yeah, Blue Plate is a little bit further down the road. We're just across from St. Bernardus Church, right next to Stolzie's.
Yes. So, Peter, where did you start? Where everybody loves the good origin story. Where did you start as far as beer goes, and then we'll get into how Starkweather came to be.
If my memory serves me well, my wife made a small boo-boo about 15 years ago. She gave me a homebrew kit. And we did some homebrewing together for the first 2 batches, and that kind of got the bug in me. And then I started creating my own recipes. And then, like a lot of homebrewers, you go from doing extract brewing to full grain brewing. You go from bottle conditioning to kegging, and then it just kind of went out of hand. So that's probably 15 years ago. I call it for Father's Day. And then I slowly just matured into creating more and more of my own recipes and experimenting with different flavors. Sure, there's been some stuff coming through that I would be thinking now, why did I do that? But that's how you learn. Then slowly getting into some competitions with like the Wine and Hop Shop, sending some to the national competitions, getting some recognition there. Then I was lucky enough to have some releases with Mobcraft. At that point, Mobcraft Brewing was still in Madison. They were operating out of House of Brews. Mm-hmm. Of course, they went to Milwaukee, and unfortunately, just a few months ago, they had to close down. But I was lucky enough to do some fun brewing with them. Yeah, and that gets your beer into the market, and then it kind of goes from there.
Yeah. Also, one thing that you or one thing I know about you that I didn't hear there, but I want you to accent it is another thing that was instrumental, in my opinion, looking at your career arc and knowing a little bit about it, was your ties with your local homebrew community.
Correct. The Madison Homebrewers and Tasting Guild. I've been a member of that group for probably over 10 years by now. Of course, with the great taste and some other stuff that they do, they have great benefits. If you're a member of the group, you can get hops, you can get grains. They will walk you through a lot of things. There's a lot of things that they will educate you in. And besides the Madison Homebrewers and Tasting Guild, I was also part of the Sun Prairie Warthogs, which is a
Mm-hmm.
homebrew club in Sun Prairie. I
Mm-hmm.
was even president for a year of that club. My good
Mm-hmm.
friend Jeff Scanlon founded
Mm-hmm.
that group several years ago. He's the brewmaster at Uka Brewing in Beaver Dam. So I
Yes.
still have contact with him. And that of course also kind of paves the road on how to get into the commercial brewing and how to learn more about brewing.
Yeah, and we gotta have him on from Uga. Uga makes some good brews up in Beaver Dam, right?
Correct. Yeah, they're in Beaver Dam.
Yep. And that's two professional brewers that one small homebrew crew, homebrew club sparked. So that's just I just think it's amazing. It's great. It's obvious. That's a lot of where our craft beer breweries came from is the homebrew guys. So shout out to all of them and all that for the community and those communities, Peter, as you already know, they help springboard y'all's initiatives and y'all's breweries, because then you almost have a built-in fan club before you even start, because people have been drinking your beers for years.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And of course, with the homebrew clubs, you also go to different events. There's a big one in Van der Lek every year. And there's different outlets that we can go to as homebrewers where you can show your beer. Sometimes it's competition related, but often it's just, okay, come in and show us what you can serve us. And from there on, you build, of course, a lot more relationships. I met some people from Breeze Malting a few years ago, and I still talk to them occasionally when I have questions. Of course, it's up to yourself how big you want to make your network, but absolutely with homebrewing and then, going deeper into it, you can absolutely create a great network that I still depend on even now. That's I'm in my fifth or sixth year of commercial brewing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that really fascinates me, so for the record, y'all, I've homebrewed with Peter, and one of the things that Peter and I have in common is that I actually bought Peter's homebrew system when he went pro and moved up. So I got a little bit of Peter in my home and Peter nostalgia. So I feel a little bit connected to Starkweather going on. But one of the things so let's talk to the transition between home brewer and professional brewer. And Peter, I really want you to talk about so the origin of Starkweather. What is what's the name about? I know, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know. And then how did that all come together? I know that there, I don't know if you want to speak to it or not. I know that there's, there were a couple opportunities that were in front of you that didn't work out before we got to Starkweather.
Correct. So let's indeed start with the name. So Starkweather Brewing Company is located, as you mentioned, on Atwood Avenue. We're in the Sassy neighborhood, which stands for Schenck, Atwood, Starkweather, and Johara. That's the whole area, basically between Williamson Street and Old Brick Gardens, kind of that whole territory. And we are in the part of Starkweather. So that's one of the reasons that we picked that neighborhood. We're also very close to the Starkweather Creek, but don't worry, we don't use that water because we don't want to just make sours. We are community strong, and that's one of the reasons that we also went with the name, because we want people to know, hey, we're here for the community, for the neighborhood. And that's kind of how we feel our business should be broadcasting itself. We have a lot of people out of the neighborhood coming through. Of course, we have a lot of people outside of the neighborhood, which we also welcome, but a lot of people, regulars that live a few blocks away from here and just come in for their regular pints. The business came together because before I started Starkweather Brewing Company, I was the brewer at One Barrel Brewing Company, who used to be on Winnebago and Atwood. They closed their premises, I think, a year ago, and they only do their business now in Egg Harbor. I believe they might be coming back in Madison, but I'm not sure. During my tenure there, I met, of course, several people, and three of them wanted to start a brewery. So I started talking to them, and that's kind of how we started moving forward. Now, this was all in 2020 when, of course, COVID was coming through. So it was really hard to find a location to start a new company. There was no building material available. Anywhere you wanted to go in and you wanted to build something, it was like, okay, why don't you pay us $1 million and we will look into it. Eric from Next Door Brewing in, I think it was 2018, just before I started at One Barrel, he offered me to take over this place. But he wanted me to keep the same name, which at that point I was somewhat interested, but I knew I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. And I also had kind of the idea, okay, if I start something, it should start fresh with a new name and really put your own thought process in it. So in 2021, we reached out to him again, and at that point, he was willing to part with the business, and we were lucky enough to be able to take this over from them. It has a 3-barrel system, which works perfectly fine. I got plenty of fermenters. Of course, it has a beautiful bar. It has a great seating area, full kitchen. So yeah, it was kind of a key situation for us to just plug and play and get going with it.
Yeah, Next Door Brewing had a nice little imprint that they had built up. I forget how long they were there, but yeah, the full kitchen, and y'all utilize that wonderfully, by the way. And yeah, so before we get more into Starkweather, what I noticed is that I've been around, this craft beer for almost 10 years now, or more than 10 years. One of the things that I've seen that homebrewers struggle going to professional, Peter, is the scaling up. And it's y'all are used to making, y'all come from a place where you make small batches, and then having to make a 3-barrel batch or something like that. To me, I've seen a lot of some brewers struggle with that jump. Now I wanted to talk to you, but because you have an interesting, because you went from home brewing to 1-barrel, which was basically what, 1-barrel batches of brews, right? And then now you're up to 3. So you made a gradual shift up, if that makes sense. You want to speak a little bit on that one?
Yeah, first of all, of course, living in this era and being a brewer is so much easier than 30, 40, 50 years ago. Ingredients, hops in general, the yeast, everything has been made so much easier for us than what it was several years ago. We don't really have to do decoction mash, for example, because the grains have been modified. So from that perspective, it's already a lot easier to be brewing in this time and day. Scaling up, I mean, everybody has internet nowadays. You can find a lot of stuff on there. There's different programs that you can use. I use Beersmith for all my recipes, and it basically allows you to put in all the information that you have. So the brew system that I have, the size of the batch I want to make, what's going to be my boil off. It's made really easy for people to scale up their recipes. Are they going to be 100% the same? Probably not, but if I made a beautiful IPA 5 years ago and I take this recipe and make it here, do you really 100% know what the recipe was 5 years ago or how it tasted? I think people enjoy good beer, and if it's not 100% the same as it was 5 years ago, they're going to be happy with it. But yeah, some of the beers that I used to make as a home brewer, I have been scaling up. But again, the systems, the software that we have available to us allows us to do that stuff pretty easily nowadays.
That's excellent. So back to Starkweather real quick, or real long actually. But so what is y'all's okay, so I described y'all as a community pub, as a community hub almost. What is y'all's mission statement, and speak to that part of it, because I'm getting those vibes when you go to either your website or your IG, which I was this week, and I just saw nothing but community events and different things that I was interested in. So speak to that, please, about Starkweather's mission, outside of just brewing beer and making money and having a good place for people to eat and drink.
So our slogan is somewhere by the river, or by the creek. That's where we are, by the Starkweather Creek, of course. And like I mentioned, we want to be community strong. We're not going to be one of the breweries that's, and I have nothing against other breweries doing this, but we're not one of those breweries that wants to start making beer and then grow within the next 5 years after opening to be the biggest in the world. Get a bigger system, get distribution going, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's my vision, and I think my partners pretty much agree with it over the years. My vision is that the beer market is going to go to where Germany, England, Belgium have been. Every neighborhood has to have its own little brew house, its own little spot. Think of the series Cheers out of the 80s. You come in and everybody knows your name. I mean, that's kind of what we want to broadcast. Like I said, we have customers that come in on a daily basis, drink their pint, have a few bites to eat, and come back the next day. We have people coming out of different areas of Wisconsin or other states. We have a lot of people from Illinois coming in, and then they will visit, and they're like, wow, this is such a little gem. We love being here. And that's what we want to be. We yes, of course, you need to make money. You have to be sustainable. You have to be happy with what you're doing. But I think for us, it's really important to show everybody, hey, we're here in your community. Talk to us. Let us know if we can do anything for you. A few examples, if I may. We're just about a block away from Ulrich Botanical Gardens. and they grow several ingredients for me, which is great. I mean, that's another handshake with community. I made a beer 2 years ago, and I asked our neighborhood to provide rhubarb if they wanted. And if they brought rhubarb, they will get a ticket for a free beer. So we got a lot of rhubarb that I used in another beer. We do meat raffles, we do trivia, we do music bingo. Um, we're I don't know exactly when this is being broadcasted, but today is January 31st. Today we're having a meat raffle, and part of the proceeds are going to the Abundant Life Church because of what happened there in December. So we're trying to show people, hey, you know what? Yes, we want to make money. Yes, we love making beer. We make good food, but please come in and have fun with us. And that's what we're trying to establish.
Yeah, I'm going to take umbrage with the word trying. I think y'all succeeding.
Thank
I
you.
think y'all doing a good job at that. Again, I think that that's the new, Peter, I really think that that's the model that's longevity wise is going to make sure that y'all are sustainable. Trying to scale big in this economy, which I'm going to lead to. What I mean by this economy, I mean the craft beer. I'm sorry, the craft beer environment. How about that? The craft beer environment, whether regardless of what the economy is doing, is just not a really great place as it used to be before the pandemic. A lot of things are coming to head, whether it be market forces or loans or different things. And we've seen 11 closings in Wisconsin in the past year. We saw 40 in Colorado, and we saw 20 in Idaho. So this isn't just a Wisconsin thing. Do you want to speak to how Starkweather is set up for that kind of upheaval or disruption, if that makes sense? Because you basically said it a little bit here, Peter. I just want you to kind of expand on that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I first want to chime in on what you said earlier with a lot of breweries closing, which also makes sense. I mean, if you look 7 years ago, we had about 1,700 breweries in the United States. Then we got close to 10,000, and of course, that bubble has to burst. I mean, it cannot keep going. It was just, yeah, it was a big thing that was growing, and now it has to settle down. Again, tying into that, we are not in bed with a distributor. Not that I have anything about distributors, but I want to make sure that we control our product ourselves. We make 3-barrel batches. If I make a 3-barrel batch and it has to go straight to a distributor, I will not have it on tap here, so people will drink it or pick it up in a grocery store or at a liquor store and come in, and then we don't have it on. We are not at that point yet. Maybe at one point we will get that we will do contract brewing with a different brewery so we can do some distribution. But at this point, it's purely doing it in-house. People can get a 32-ounce can, the crawlers, if they want to. And that's how we do our beer business. Besides that, Next Door Brewing, in my opinion, was a restaurant with a brewery, and they made some really good beer and good food. We are more a brewery with some food. So we have shareable food, but the food is phenomenal. Steve, our chef, does a great job. His team is doing a great job. We have beautiful chicken wings, chicken tenders, tachos, you name it. Everything is available here. So a lot of people come in and have 3 beers, have a little bit of bite to eat, and then come in with their friends the next time, and it keeps going that way. And that's what we want to do. We want the customers to talk to each other and say, hey, have you been to Starkweather? No, well, you should really try it out. And that's how we want to get, I don't want to say famous, but get our know-how into the market. How it's going to go in the next few years, I'm not sure. I'm still not a fortune teller, unfortunately. But I do know that we have our 3-year anniversary this coming week. It's been a beautiful 3 years. We've been able to establish us in the way that we wanted to do it. We won quite some awards. We know the community loves us. We are doing a lot of beer fest throughout Wisconsin. So yeah, we are here and people know it. And I think that's the good way to be after being in the business for 3 years.
Excellent. Let's get into the beer a little bit. I don't want to beer geek everybody out. Actually, I really should. I mean, if you don't mind, Peter, I would love to have you back, or maybe someone who does your business, to talk about the business and get all beer geeky. But I kind of want to keep this as an overall, perspective of Starkweather. So, what is your I mentioned at the top, Peter, that you like to play. I think your background, your history of who you are as a person, I think that that goes across the board for a lot of brewmasters. Does that make sense? Or masters of brew, or whatever you want to call yourselves. Your personal history and where y'all have traveled, and you have you are a world traveler, for lack of a better word. Many Americans don't leave their states. So Peter's from another country, and he works for another country. So I'll let Peter get into that a little bit, because Peter has two jobs, y'all. He has a main job, and he has his job where he brews at Starkweather. So there's that. But Peter, I want you to so if you don't mind, talk about your past a little bit, because I think, in my opinion, that affects what kind of beers that you make. But also, what would you say your philosophy is as a brewmaster? I don't think I feel some traditional things here, but I also feel some, hey, I like tradition, but I also like new things, and I like to bring new things to my people. So there was a two questions there. I'll shut up and let you finish.
I can talk now for 2 hours and still not be done, but let me try to summarize it. So yes, I'm originally from the Netherlands.
Yep.
By the way, I don't think I have an accent. I think everybody else does. And I moved to this country 19 years because I met my beautiful wife. She was originally from Milwaukee. When I met her, she had a house in Madison, so that's how we ended up in Madison. We've been married for almost 19 years. We got two boys, both teenagers, one almost 18, one almost 15. So they're getting out of our hair a little bit, so it gets easier to start the brewery. I mean, that was one of the things too. When I was thinking of starting a brewery with smaller kids, you never know. I mean, you have to sports, school, everything combined, you're way busier. So I also delayed even thinking about opening a brewery until the kids were at least a little bit older, so they can get to school and back home by themselves. Back in the Netherlands, I used to work in satellite communications. A lot of people think that that's the internet for your TV, but no, this is purely for military, mining, any place on Earth where you don't have cellular or landline availability for telephones. You can go straight to the satellite. Yes, Mr. Musk figured that out a few years later, and that's going on now. But I've been in this industry for 25 years, and it's been a great industry. When I came to the United States, I was able to take my job with me, changed a few companies in the meantime, but now I've been with a company in Australia for the last, it's going to be 12 years tomorrow, I believe. So I've been lucky enough to for this job to travel to different parts of the world. I've been to Australia several times, but I've been to Chile, I've been to Malta, I've been to Canada, I've been to Mexico. Yeah, different places, all for the job, and that's been very, very lucky for me to be able to do that. Within the United States, again, with young kids and a wife that also likes to travel, I've been able to go through a lot of the United States. Yeah, that's been a great part. And also for the last 10 years, I got a group of friends from my other industry that we travel to a specific city and we do a beer weekend. So we try to fit in as many breweries as possible, and we've been all over the United States for that too. Having said that, yes, of course, everywhere you travel, you eat different foods, you drink different stuff, and you get a hint of different ingredients. And that's what I like. Going back to when I was a home brewer, one time I made a black licorice stout. It was just something that I wanted to try. It came out pretty nice, but again, it's not something that you want to keep doing. But if you do it on a homebrew scale, it's a small batch. So if it doesn't work out too great, you're looking at 5 gallons and not at 96 gallons that I'm brewing here. So yes, I like to make all kinds of beer. If you come into our brewery, we have 15 beer lines, and it always has a very big variety from Belgian beers to German lagers to sours to IPAs to a Scotch ale. Everything is basically available, and we rotate through our beers pretty quickly. Right now, I have, for example, a Czech Dark and a Munich Helles on tap, but I also have Sweet Heat. And Sweet Heat is a series that I've been doing. It's a German Gose, but I use some scorpion pepper that Ulrich Cardin provides me, and then I put a fruit on it. And that's been a series that we've been doing since we started. Right now, we've got a cherry version on. The next one will be a plum version, and there will be always a different fruit, but everything else stays pretty much the same. During the summer, I like to do more fruitier beers. Just this morning before we started this conversation, I was kegging our Imperial Stout at 11.3. So just from the 5 examples that I give, you can see that there's always something there's always something available for everybody who wants to have a beer. We have people coming in saying, I really don't like beer. And then I'm like, well, we are a brewery, so that might give you an indication that we only have beer. But then they will try our Lake Loop, which is our cream ale, and they will have another one because it's such an easy drinking beer. I think also every brewery has to have a lighter beer on tap all the time, and that's for us our cream ale. Cap City Trail is another one that we do. It's an American lager, very easy drinking, crisp, about 5%. Yeah, perfect beer for summertime, but in the winter too when you drink some of the heavier stuff. So that's kind of how I see it. Do I still experiment? Absolutely. I like to go for a walk every day, and when I do that, I either come up with new recipes or names for beers, and then when I come home, I write them down. And sometimes at night when I cannot sleep, I come up with a recipe, and then the next day, it's another one that we can do.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Which leads me to what are the latest what are some of the latest trends, Peter, or innovations in brewing that you find exciting that we might be able to see at Starkweather coming up?
The lagers are of course growing a lot in the market, so yes, we will be making more and more lagers. Um, but I still truly think that that's how we've been maturing our lines. We got a lot more staples in the last 3 years. I kind of was like, okay, what I want to make is going to be made and it will be on tap, and it worked fine for us. I mean, more than fine. But we're getting now to a point that we want to get more staples on, so we can also start looking about maybe some labels, maybe organizing our cooler better, maybe doing some more keg sales outside. So we're getting to that point. Having said that, doesn't mean that all the beers are going to be the same the whole year through. There will still be a lot of rotating stuff coming through.
Mhm.
But I think we're getting to a point that people are more, yeah, like I said, lagers. Maybe even session IPAs will make a small return, although I just like to call them pale ales. Um, there's still so many ingredients coming out. I mean, there's every week there's a new hop coming out. New yeast are being developed. New yeast companies come out.
Mhm.
Of course, you can play a lot with different malts. Yeah, there's never a day or a week that I'm like, okay, you know what? I have no idea what to make anymore, because then I just look again, do some research online, and you will see new ingredients coming into the market, or all of a sudden, like, let's give it an example. 5, 6, 7 years ago, the Brut IPA came out of San Diego, and everybody was making the Brut IPAs. I'm sure there will be another style coming out in the near future. I hope it's not a white stout again. But anyway, there's a lot of different styles still coming out. Old beers, old beer recipes that are being renewed and available in the market again. Yeah, I think and it's also, how excited are you yourself about what you're doing? Of course, I mean, the moment I feel that brewing becomes a 100% job and I'm not having fun anymore, I will not be doing it anymore. I need to have fun. I need to have my creativity. I need to be able to put my heart and soul in every beer. Otherwise, it's just not worth it for me to do it. I made the move from home brewer to commercial brewer. Yes, to share what I can do, but also to make sure that I have fun in what I'm doing. And so far, that's still happening.
Excellent. Amen. Amen. I mean, I will say that the best breweries are the ones that you can tell that the brewer has a passion. So, um, and to me, that's always a good thing. It's hard to figure out if you don't know the brewer or that person or anything behind it. But when you go into certain brewers, you can be like, "Oh no, this guy really loves doing what he does." And so, shout out to you for that, Peter. I have a question for you. As far as I'm winding up here my questions. But you are an open book, and you've always been available to me. So if I forget something, I'll have you back. I don't even care. But what I wanted to talk, another thing that jumps off of me about Starkweather over the 3 years, it seems like y'all been around longer than that, to be honest with you. But for the 3 years, is y'all not only is y'all commitment to community, meaning your patrons, y'all, in my opinion, appear to have a commitment to the craft beer community. And I see nothing but I see y'all having bike rides with Delta, and I see y'all collabing with this brewery and that brewery. So I don't know if you want to speak to, I don't know if a lot of people understand sometimes how tight knit the craft beer community can be. And when I mean the craft beer community, I mean, the people in it, the brewers and owners and all that. I don't think people understand that, there's a lot of times there's a tight connection. Sometimes there's no connection at all, and it's, complete competition. But there's a lot of time where there's a connection, whether it be sharing ideas, recipes. So I don't know if you want to speak to that, because I feel that Starkweather is also ingrained in our craft beer community here in Madison.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we announced that we were taking this place over and that we were going to start it, and that's one of the best examples I can give. I of course posted it because that's why the social media is available. And Scott Manning from Vintage, one of the owners and the brewmaster there, he reached out within minutes and said, "Peter, I'm so happy for you. If you need anything from hops to yeast, from grains, just let me know, and we can help each other out." And at that point, I was like, "Man, this is gonna be solid." And that was just one of the reactions that we got. Of course, there's competition. I mean, everybody wants to make the best beer, and if I have 100 people in my place and a different place only has 2 people, yeah, of course they're going to be worried. But it's not a cutthroat industry. Everybody likes to talk to each other. Whenever there's a beer fest, people talk to each other. We just had the beer and cheese 2 weekends ago, and people are just walking with each other and tasting beer from other breweries. I mentioned Jeff Scanlon earlier, and Jeff and I went over to Lone Girl and then some other breweries and just have a chat. How did you make this beer? What's coming up down your pipeline? How's business going? And I think that's also important. As in every industry, there's people that rather fly solo, and that's fine. I mean, nobody's gonna say, "Hey, I try to talk to this guy, he doesn't want to talk to me. I will never drink his beer." That's a choice. I mean, we're also still old people, so you never know what's gonna happen and what's been going on with this person. But as far as I can determine, the industry is absolutely a friendly industry. We have here in Madison, it's called the MedBev. It's the Madison Beverage Makers. And it's a group of people that come together once per month at a different location, and we talk about our industry and we come up with ideas. How can we make our industry better? How we can make Madison an even bigger place for people to drink their bourbon, drink their cocktail, have their cider, and of course have their beer. So I don't see it as the cutthroat industry that it could be. It's absolutely a friendly industry, and I'm very happy to be part of it. On collaborations, we've done different ones. We've done with Giant Jones, we've done with Working Drafts in our early ages, with Vintage, with Carbon 4. We've done probably collaborations with every brewery in town, some out of Milwaukee. Torsala is one of them.
Ah,
Um,
you did one with
um,
Rosala.
Yep, the
Excellent.
Rookery. We done some with the Rookery, of course, with Mobcraft. So we've been lucky to do that. And this year I already have a few lined up that hopefully will mature, and that this year we will have some more collaboration. We just have another one with Delta. I just dropped off the beer this week. With Delta, we did an American blonde with a good punch of Citra on it, and that should be released in February. So another fun one to come through.
Let's go.
And
And that's available at both your places?
yeah. It's so I made it here. It's a 3-barrel batch, so it's not going to be the biggest batch. It might go through pretty quickly, at least. Of course, we all hope so, because that means it was a good beer. But yeah, it should be available, I think, around Valentine's Day, if I'm not mistaken. The name is Familiar Hookup because it was a blind date for the MedBev group that I just mentioned. So that's the name that I came up with. Just keep your eyes on the social media, and you will be able to see it. But we did one with Delta last year, and I'm sure we will do more business with them, because again, it's great to be able to work with people like that. One of the benefits I see in collaborations is that your beer is, of course, going to be available at different places, and vice versa for the other brewery. To take Torsala again, we made a beautiful black IPA, and they had it on, and we had it on, but you put each other's name on it, and that's how people will know. So somebody walks into Torsala, what is Starkweather Brewing? Oh, they're Madison. Hey, I'm going to be there next week, and they will come in and have a beer. So that's kind of the golden handshake that you can do with a lot of breweries. It's not just another beer. It's something that we really thought about, talked about, come up with a catchy name, do a release, and make everybody aware of what can be done.
Excellent. And my second last question, I believe, is so when we release this, you will be having I don't know if I want to call it special, but you will be having, well, let's call it a special release of a beer that you just brewed with cookies. Please tell us about that, and who'd you do that with?
Yeah, so Steve is my chef. His daughter Natalie sells Girl Scout cookies every year, and she's pretty good at it, I've been told. And so last year, she really wanted to be able to brew a beer. Now she's not allowed to drink it yet, but just the adventure, just the idea of brewing a beer with a cookie. So last year, I can't remember how many boxes it was. It was the lemonade cookie, so the one that has a little bit of lemon in it. And I bought several boxes of it, put it in the freezer, and then Steve grind them up. And about 2 weeks ago, we made the beer. It's another American blonde. And it came down to 6 pounds of cookie crumbles that we put on top of the grain bed while we were sparging. Sparging means that after the sugar has pretty much been taken out of the grains, you transfer it to the boil kettle, but then you put more water on top of it to make sure that the grain bed is completely drained of the sugars. So the flavor of the cookies came in a little bit later, and then we did a boil. The beer has been infused with a little bit extra lemon, a little bit of vanilla, just to make sure that we get really close to the flavor of the lemonades. This year, the Girl Scout cookie release is, if I'm not mistaken, Thursday, February 20th, around that time, maybe at that weekend. So on the 27th, which is a Thursday, we will release this beer. That's also our evening that we always have the music bingo. So we always have a good crowd in, and then we will release this beer and yeah, probably sell some of the Girl Scout cookies like we've done in the previous 2 years. Normally Natalie comes in often on a Saturday, and that afternoon she will just be sitting here and selling her cookies, which really helps her business. But for us, it's also fun to see, hey, you know what, another community thing. We all know that the Girl Scouts of America do a good job on making funds available for what they need. And of course, us helping in that helps everybody. So yeah, and it's going to be a very light colored beer. It's going to be about 6%, if I'm not mistaken. And just an easy drinking beer with a good note of lemon, a little bit of vanilla, and then the cookie. So yeah.
Nice little spring beer. I'm hoping for spring in March here. But you know
I
how
think
that
spring
goes.
was yesterday, so we have to wait another year.
All right, Peter, I'm gonna let you get out of here. But my last question for you is so you know, I try to get you to prognosticate. There you go. In the future, but I'm gonna try to get you again. Where do you see Starkweather, 3 years down? Where are we going to be 3 years from now? What is it going to, do you have any idea what Starkweather looks like on its 6th anniversary, given that we are on its 3rd next week, right? February. When's our third birthday? And then what do you see for our 6th? I think he's probably, my guess is that it'll look really the same, but just 3 years later. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think, Pete?
So February 10th is our official first day open in 22. Am I saying that right? Yeah.
Okay.
But we have decided to always do our anniversary in the first week of February. The reason for that is that we don't interfere with Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Sorry, 1 second.
No worries.
In 3 years, I see myself with probably a longer beard, more gray hair. Yeah, that's about it. Probably different overalls. No, I think we're still going to be here. Maybe if we're lucky enough that we can go somewhat bigger, then we will. But like I said earlier, maintain where you are, and if you can get your business going from where you are right now, then don't change the winning thing. I mean, nobody knows where the industry is going to be in 3 years. I mean, there's been so many non-alcoholic and hard seltzers and other stuff coming through. So who knows where the beer business will be? But I still think that we're going to be solid here on Edward. We got a beautiful location, of course. The building has parking around it. We have our own patio. We're very close to walking distance to, like I said, Olbrich Gardens or the Olbrich Beer Gardens in the summertime. We're just off the bike path. We're close to Williamson Street. If you want, within 2 mile radius, you have another 3 or 4 breweries. So there's no reason for us to say, you know what, let's go into this industrial area and get a bigger brewery when you already have a good market share here. Now, having said that, who knows? Maybe somebody will knock on our door and say, hey, you know what, I really love Starkweather. Here's a few million. Go build a bigger one. Then yes, of course, we would be doing that. But how we are doing it right now, the system is working fine. The beer is flowing. We got a great team here. Keep doing what we're doing.
Amen. And just for the record, just so you know, or just to clarify, the only way to get Starkweather beers is to go to your brewery, right? You're not in distribution yet.
Correct. It's all through our brewery.
Yep. So again, y'all, they're a community pub. If you're in Madison or you're coming through Madison, I would highly suggest y'all stop at Starkweather because you're going to get, one of the best things about Madison breweries at this point. It's unfortunately been broken down with some of our closings. That each one of y'all offers something so different that like it really is important for craft beer drinkers to go to all of you. Like I one of my frequents is Giant Jones for sure. But I mean, it's hard for me not to go around the corner to Working Draft because there's just the menus are just so vastly different. And the quality of beers is so good. And then Youngblood and y'all more like Youngblood in my opinion, where y'all have these wonderful differently tasting beers, and every time I come in I see something different, so I love that. So yeah, this is the community here in Madison, y'all. Especially on the east side here, can't say enough about not only the community, Peter spoke to that, but also the diversity in beers. Delta's beer has been, I don't know what they're doing over there, Peter. I'm serious. I don't know if they got a new brewmaster. I don't know what's going on. In fact, I know they didn't, but their beers have just been excellently, wonderfully executed here recently. I was in their brew pub the other day and it was just amazing, 2 weeks ago, and it was just great. So y'all are all really doing things.
Yeah, so
Wonderful
Delta
things.
has a new brewmaster, Nick. He's a great guy. I've been
Oh,
talking to him. So
okay.
yeah, I don't know how long he's been there, but that's absolutely true.
Oh,
If I may
okay.
blow my own horn one more time, then I'm
Yeah.
just going to
Oh,
say one more time about the food. I mean, yes, we got a lot of breweries close to us, and of course,
yep.
Vintage has beautiful food. But if you want to do that route, you can come from us to Working Draft to Giant Jones to Vintage and kind of work your way to those
Yes.
breweries. And both Vintage and Starkweather Brewing has great food. We got third place for best chicken wings a few years ago for best wing from Madison, so that's a big thing. We do beer and chicken. That's another thing that we do every so often. People come in, they get 6 chicken wings, 6 beers. We walk them through that. We pair it for them. Gives our chef an opportunity to figure out new flavoring. That's what we do. We do beer and chocolate with Kill and Brocious. So we have a lot of events that involve both eating and drinking. And I think that makes you great in such a way that people can come in for the diversity. 15 beers, plenty of food options. Come sit, chat, have a fun time.
Yeah, and before I let you go, I gotta mention your tater tots. What do you call them?
The tachos.
Tachos.
Yep. We have regular tachos, which is indeed the tater tots, and then we have the tachos of the month, something that Steve started with. This year, of this month, is the Philly steak, and I don't recall what's next month is, but every month he comes out with a new recipe for special tachos, and people love it.
And some wings and one of your Belgians, and I'm good, Peter. I'm good.
All right.
All right, Peter. Last word. Anything? Sum up. Tell us about Starkweather. Where to find Starkweather on social medias, all the stuff, and then we'll get you out of here. And I wanted to thank you. And our fellows at Badger Beer Report would love to thank you. And I'm looking forward to coming and trying that cookie beer.
Awesome. So yeah, thank you for having me on this interview. We are located at 2439 Atwood Avenue, like I mentioned, just across from St. Bernardus Church on your east side, the best side of Madison anyway. I really appreciate everybody, our regulars, our one-time visitors, everybody that has been part of Starkweather over the last 3 years. Thank you all, and absolutely looking forward to the next 3 years, and of course longer than that. Cheers and have a beer.
Cheers. Thank you, Peter. We'll talk to you. I will put in a media request early next year. Maybe we could do this around your anniversary party every year. We could talk to you, see what's going on, check in, make sure everything's good. I don't take any of to me, Peter, at this point, just like everybody's day to day, our breweries are day to day. So we have to treat them that we appreciate them almost every time we can. So that even if that's just stop it in and just getting a sample, even if it's just rating, you're rating Starkweather on Facebook, whether it's sharing an event, even if you're not going. One of the things that I do, y'all, is I get on Facebook and I see all the events that my friends and my breweries are, and I just hit interested. Yeah, I'm interested. I may not go, but when I hit interested, other people see my interested post and then they hit interested, y'all. So these are free things that we could do to support our breweries. So Peter, if you see I'm clicking interested on all your events and I don't show up, I'm sorry, but I intend, and that also gives you a little reminder, especially on Facebook. It's really nice that you can say, hey, you got an event today, and I look and it's like, oh, it's Starkweather. Oh man, I can't make it, but at least I got the event reminder by clicking interested. So those are a couple things that you could help your local breweries with. So
Greg, you and I have
Unless
been friends for so many years. I'm not scared or angry if you don't show up, because I know we're going to be friends for so many more years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But it just is, I that's just one of my tricks to spread the word about the breweries, basically. Sometimes it looks like I'm trying to go everywhere, and I am, but at the same time, it's just not possible. But I know that people see that because people have clicked interested after they saw mine. So this is these little things that we can do that I don't know that sometimes folks understand how important they are, even if it's just a little thing. You know what I'm talking about, Peter? You do. So,
Absolutely.
those little things go a long way. So, thanks, Peter, for this time that you gave us. You gave us 45 minutes. That's wonderful. Good luck on everything with Starkweather. Good luck on your anniversary next month, or I'm sorry, next week, or you're celebrating next week. And also, good luck with everything y'all doing, because again, we all need our community pubs and our community hubs. So, thanks, Peter.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Take care.
Calling all craft beer enthusiasts. Whether you're a hophead, a stout lover, or just someone looking to sip on something unique, Garth's Brew Bar is your new favorite destination. Located right in the heart of Monroe Street, this cozy, community-focused craft beer bar serves up an ever-rotating lineup of exceptional drafts and hard seltzers from the best breweries around.